97.1 FM Talk.
On demand audio.
Well, over the years, you've heard me talk a lot about Agers Heating and Air Conditioning, and they've been proud sponsors of this program, and I've been happy to have them on here. Brian Agers joining me in the studio this morning with a pretty big announcement because I got my letter in the mail yesterday. And, of course, I've got Corey Malone in here with me as well, president and owner of Air Comfort Services. And, gentlemen, welcome in.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's good to have you. Brian called me, I think, right before I went on vacation with this news, didn't you?
Yeah, you said, I'm going on vacation. You what?
Yeah, thank you. Well, congratulations. You guys basically are the same company now.
We are.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So Air Comfort is basically swallowing up Agers, right? Is that how I'm looking at this? Is that
Well, I mean, I guess that'd be one way to look at it. I mean, but it was a good thing. It wasn't,
I know.
It wasn't a hostile takeover. And we got to a point where, I'm concerned about customers. There's a lot of people we've done work for who have warranties with us, labor warranties, equipment warranties, and with the retraction of available workforce, it's becoming harder and harder to find people. And, a couple of years ago, we had to cut out after-hours service. We cut out weekend service because you can't work your people 6 days a week and 14 hours a day without them wanting to leave also. So, I've been kind of looking at my options, and I've known Corey for over 10 years, and he runs a very solid company, and his ideals and pretty much head to toe everything that he's about aligns with what I'm about. And so we had a discussion last month, and things happened pretty quickly. And so we decided to go ahead and make this happen. And, I'm glad to report that not only is Air Comfort going to honor all the warranties, but everyone that worked for Agers now works at Air Comfort.
Wow. So, Corey, what's this mean for you guys? I mean, you face some of the same manpower challenges he's looking at, and now
Yes.
you're bringing people in who are like ready to hit the road running because they've already been doing it for Brian, right?
Right, absolutely. Yeah. And some of the same systems we have together too as companies. But one thing, we're a little larger. My father-in-law, Doc Jones, started in 1969. So we've been around for a while. And like Brian said, I've known him for years, served on boards with him, and just kind of got to know how he is and what his ideals are. And that's why we're pretty good friends, because they're very, very close. But with us being a larger company, we a few years ago took an initiative that we just wanted to grow through our business. So we wanted to invest in young people. We work with Rankin. We work with a lot of the trade schools throughout the state, and bring young men and young ladies, if you're out there, we'd love to have you. Bring them in and try to work them through the company, give them some exposure to the industry, and then give them opportunities once they're in our company to grow. And, there's multiple, we do commercial, we do residential install, we have installation, we have a lot of places where people can go.
Right.
Change it up a little bit and then grow their career.
Yeah. And those manpower challenges are there. Regulation challenges are there. I know you and Brian have been working together at the state level to try to get some licensing changes, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And that still hasn't gone anywhere.
Well,
Am I right about that?
State politics or politics
Yeah.
in general. It's like it's who have you funded lately, or whose special interest has decided they don't like a little something in the bill, and they're gonna do some unmentionable things behind the scenes to kill the bill, and so that kind of stuff goes on. I'm sorry to report, even when you've got a super majority of Republicans in the House and the Senate, and one sitting in the governor's mansion, things still don't get done fluidly.
Well, I hate to hear that. The important thing for my listeners, I know for sure, is that I've been bragging about Agers for many years now, and proud to do that. And people need to know who've used Agers, and I'm a customer myself. I've got one of your great systems in my house. If I pick up the phone and need service, it's now Air Comfort Service who's showing up to help, and you guys are happy to handle those.
Absolutely,
calls.
guys. Like Brian said, we offer 24-hour service. So. After hours on weekends, the weekends are a big deal, especially during the summer, or even, over the holidays. If you have a problem with your furnace, it's not comfortable. Yeah. But it's funny, people can handle, they don't mind no furnace. They don't like no air conditioner at all.
That's a fact.
Yeah, so we afford Brian's customers, ours now, the opportunity if you do have an issue on a weekend and you're having a wedding anniversary or birthday party and everything goes out and say it might be raining, you can't go outside. We'll have somebody there that can come out and take a look at it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well,
and we're still marching toward the new government regulated 454B refrigerant that's going to cost somewhere between 25 and 30% more than the equipment costs today. So if you're on the fence, those of you listening about whether or not you need to change out your heating and air conditioning system, yes, it's expensive, but it's going to be considerably more expensive 6 to 12 months from now.
wow. So what does that mean? The older systems don't take the new refrigerant. The old refrigerant becomes harder to get. This is like a broken record, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing we had with R22 where they phased that out because it was bad for the environment.
Right.
And then we had 410, which is what we're using currently. And now the powers that be have decided that's bad for the environment too. And so now we're switching to something that they deemed slightly flammable. And so there's some sensors and some things. And when you have to redesign equipment and build it to be intrinsically safe, so there's no sparks or sources of ignition, that costs money. And so we're getting ready to unfortunately, COVID wasn't a big enough kick in the knee where, I think we've seen somewhere around a 44% price increase since January of 20 to where we're at now on equipment. Now we're going to take another 25 to 30% increase. So the average price of heating and cooling equipment in 2025 nationally is going to reach over $20,000.
If leadership changes on the national level, I mean, this train is going down the tracks. There's no way to reverse.
Yeah.
So this is a policy or whatever that was put in place.
Yep.
The manufacturers are already retooling.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to make a commitment in, I believe, September. We have a choice. We either just go to the new refrigerant or stay with 410 as long as we can. And there's more advantages to it than just cost. But my stance is we're going to get everything we can in. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the year, from what I understand, January 1, it can not be manufactured anymore. So where R22 to 410A was a long phase-in, this is something that's happening pretty quick. And, they're dropping it on us quickly for one reason or another. You can read into whatever you want to read into. But ultimately, something that, in my personal opinion, they're going to try to make air conditioning a luxury. And, I think at the Olympics, I believe most of the venues don't have air conditioning.
Yeah, they're bringing their own units right, for the American athletes.
That's so America.
Yeah,
I mean,
America. Right. I mean, we're just the extra athletes. We're going to need our own units, please. Yeah. But if they're working hard like that, my gosh, that would be uncomfortable if it's 100 degrees. It's triple digits, at least here. We've had a couple of those days.
Well, and every time Europe has a big heat wave, you hear of all these massive deaths.
Oh, yeah.
Because air conditioning is pretty sparse over there. And, they're like, it's only 95 degrees. Well, if you're in a 300-year-old brick home, it's basically a pizza oven.
Yeah.
And they can't handle it. And, air conditioning saves lives, and they're wanting to try to make it for whatever reason.
Well, I remember my wife's grandmother, as a child, they lived in an old brick home somewhere in South City, and they used to go out and sleep in Forest Park on hot nights as a family. Remember when you could do that safely, huh?
Well, and the silly thing about them trying to turn, and I agree with Corey that they're trying to make the government's trying to make air conditioning a luxury, but the problem is back in the 1900s when we were building houses that if the wind was blowing you couldn't light a candle. Now we're building houses so extremely tight that if you don't have air conditioning, it's a matter of weeks before your house is so moldy that you can't live in it anymore.
Yeah.
So air conditioning isn't just a luxury. It is a necessity in order to stay healthy living in our little airtight boxes that we've built to live in.
That's a good point. See those riots in France recently because of the elections? Wait till you see America if we don't have air conditioning. Right?
Oh, wow,
People will take to the streets for sure.
I might take to the streets at that point. I might join them.
Well, Corey Malone, Air Comfort Services, and Brian Agers now also with Air Comfort Services. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Looking forward to working with you moving forward.
Excited.
Yes, sir.
You bet. Absolutely. Thank you for coming in.
Get more at 971talk.com.